Hey, there's Daryl Olson from the Jackson Fishing Team. Again, we're tying up some saltwater flies. This is for that upcoming trip to Louisiana. We're going to try some fly fishing and kayak fishing out of Pax Kayak Rentals in November. If you're interested, send me a message and I'll send you the information. Let's look at Bryan McGowan's silhouette shrimp. To me, it's kind of a complicated fly. It doesn't quite look like a shrimp, but I guess the word silhouette, it's going to look like that to the fish when they're looking at it. Anyway, we'll show you the fly and we'll explain the materials as we tie along. Well, this here is Bryan McGowan's silhouette shrimp. I think I tied one of his other flies not too long ago. So you can see, I don't know, that's probably what the fish will see right there. But we'll go ahead and tie it up and explain the materials. The hook I'm going to use is a Gamakatsu size 4 B10S. The other thing I should add about this fly here, you notice there wasn't much weight on it. It's designed for shallow flat so it doesn't alarm the fish, or especially spooky fish. So it's the first time I've really tied a saltwater fly using lead wire for weight, and we'll be putting that on as well. So we'll put that B10 hook in here. I debarbed it. The thread I'm going to use is some brown 210 denier, and we're going to start the thread just above or in front of the hook point and take it back to about where the barb is on there. Cut off this excess. The first piece of material we're going to put on is going to be some calf or kip tail fibers, and this will be, I guess, since a lot of times we refer to the back of the hook as the tail, I guess we could say it's the tail. We're just going to take off a small little chunk. Not very much. Yeah. Let's see here. I don't remember focusing it. And we're going to clean out the under fibers. And we only want this to be maybe about a half a hook length out the back. In reality, this is probably should be called the head of the fly or the head of the shrimp. And the next material we'll put on is some EP crab shrimp eyes. I'm using natural. We're going to want a pair of those. The natural is, these are large. It's kind of like a yellowish color. Kind of goes along with that tan. And we're going to want it to be no longer than the end of that shrimp's head there. And then I'm going to try to get these so they splay out a little bit. And it looks like splayed there, so we'll put the other one in on the far side. And make sure that it's even with the other eye that we just put in. And we'll put a few wraps in between, behind here as well. And they're splayed a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut these off. I'm going to kind of stagger the cut as to create a taper. So cut that one a bit short. This one I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit longer. The next piece of material, kind of probably like the antennae, we're going to use is some brown Grizzly, and just like the tips, in there. And we're going to want these so that the concave is going away, and we don't want them just maybe slightly longer than where the eyes are at. And we'll give this a couple, 2 or 3 wraps, and then we're just going to use and just kind of pull these back so they're just where we want them. And we'll do the same on the other side. They look like they're about the same. And then we'll just trim that off. And then to help secure that in, I'm just going to put a little hard head right there. All right. And while that's drying, I'm going to move this thread back. And we're going to want to put 10 wraps of lead-free wire. And I'm using .025. And we're going to just give it 10 wraps going forward. Six. Helicopter that off. And helicopter that one off. And then we'll tie this in with the thread. And that's really the only way. This fly for spooky fish or educated fish or shallow water where you don't want to make a big splash should fit that purpose. All right. Next we're going to tie on is some UV polar chenille and tan. That'll be like our flash material, I guess, for the body. And it'll also kind of help tie in our and then the next material we're going to use is some woolly bugger tinsy core and brown chenille. You could use any brown. It's the brown I had. We're going to peel off so that we just got a couple of the core materials there to tie it in and not create so much bulk. Then we're going to take our chenille and we're going to wrap that for the body. You know, just like the previous shrimp pattern we tied, we had red chenille. This one's got brown for this area where we're going to do that. And instead of using a feather for the hackle, we're using that polar chenille for the hackle on this fly. And then we'll tie this off. trim that. Okay, next we're going to do is we're going to palmer this, you know, pulling the fibers back. And open wraps. And we'll tie it off right here. And we'll trim this off. And bring the thread back a little bit. Next material we're going to use is some tan bucktail for the wing. And kind of clean that out a little bit. Hold on to the logs, and we're going to kind of hand stack it here before we put it in the stacker. We'll trim this a little bit before we put it in the stacker. And we'll take it out of the stacker in the direction we want those points to go. And we don't want that to be any longer than back to where our hackles are, roughly about there. And I'm just going to trim off this excess. And then we're going to take some gold Krystal flash, only about 4 strands, and double it over. And we'll just trim that off just slightly longer. Or you can always cut them so that they're not even. Next we're going to use some more Hackle for on the side. And it's going to be tan Grizzly. And this time we're going to put them with the concave going in, but we don't want it maybe just slightly longer than our previous ones. We'll go ahead and tie that in with a couple wraps for now. And then we'll pull them forward. That looks good to me. More. Getting in a little trouble there, but I think I can fix that. Go ahead and give it a whip finish here. add a little UV resin. Head's a little big, but I think it'll catch a redfish. All right. There we have it. It's got a terrible head on it, but I think it's fishable. Well, the head's a little bit big on there, and I think it's fishable. I can put my leader, get my leader through it. But yeah, it's the first time I've tied up a fly that uses a lead wire. It's a pretty lightweight fly. It'll probably land pretty subtle on in those flats on the shallows, and the redfish might just pick it up and thinking it's a crab or a shrimp. But it's supposed to be a shrimp, but we'll see. All right. This is Daryl Olson. We'll see you on the water, and catch them big.